Greetings, true believers. Joe Pal Spider-Man. Good morning. Happy Saturday to everybody. And welcome back to another shave video. We're going to be doing something a little bit different today. We had a thread on the Shaving Cadre where somebody posted a video and they said, interesting lather technique. So the video was a link to Doug Bear's video from Barely Normal Wet Shaver, and it was called What the Froth. And basically he took his puck of soap, filled the lid with water, poured the water into here, sealed it up, shook it up until all the sound was gone, which means that it's picking up soap from the puck and it's turning into a froth. Kind of like a proto-lather, and then proceeded to shave with only the froth. No loading off of the puck beyond that. He did scrape the froth off the top of the puck, but he wasn't loading. And it seemed to work for him. I'll caveat that with the fact that he was using A&E Kaizen. It's brand new ultra premium base. So I think you're going to get really good results with that however you do it. You know, you could just load the puck for like 3 seconds and probably still get a decent lather. I've tried the technique a couple times. I've tried it with Southern Witchcrafts, which is a vegan soap base, and it's a pretty, I would say, middle to high end crope. And I had some success with that. I tried it with a melt and pour honeybee soaps. Absolutely did not work with that. I was able to build a teeny bit of lather, but it was very thin and it dissipated really quickly. And I think the technique just doesn't work for melt and pour soaps. I didn't think it would, but I wanted to try it just in case. So that's what we're doing today. And the reason is just to have some fun, show off this other technique. I'll put a link on the bottom of this to Doug's actual video if you want to see his presentation of it. But, you know, I encourage you to just go out and do some things like this. You find somebody that does something a little bit different, try it their way. It may not be for you, but you might learn something in the process. That's kind of like why I do the stunt shaves. You know, you kind of want to challenge yourself, break outside of the normal, do something a little different every now and then. Just break up the monotony. Challenge yourself to try something different. See if you can do it. It may not be for you, but you'll accomplish something, and you just might learn something in the process. So just have fun. That's what we're here for. If wet shaving wasn't fun, we wouldn't be doing this. We wouldn't be having forum conversations and Facebook conversations and YouTube videos. You know, we're here to learn, but we're also here to have fun. And if it wasn't fun, it wouldn't be a hobby. It would just be, I don't know what it would be. But anyways, I picked this scent because you'll see why. But I kind of wanted to try Oz shaving. I was kind of going through my den, seeing what soaps this might work with. I didn't want to go with something like ultra super premium, but not bottom shelf either. So I picked something middle of the road, Oz shaving, probably similar in makeup to Southern Witchcrafts, a similar soap base. It's a crope. I would consider it above middle tier. So we're gonna go and try it. So we're gonna fill up the cap, not like all the way, but most of the way up with water. And then we're gonna pour that in. Now the reason you don't wanna just pour the water into here, I'll show you in a minute. But we're gonna seal this up nice and tight so it doesn't leak out. It might still leak out. I don't know how well these things are sealed, but we're going with the scent Tornadic. See why now? So we're gonna keep shaking this. Man, the other soaps stop making noise so much faster. think we're getting to a point. I can feel it. I can feel it change a little bit inside of there. Okay, so this is why you fill the lid first, is because we're gonna flip it over. And then we're going to open this up. And you're gonna see we've got a little bit of frothy lather on there, and I can't turn this without spilling it, but we got a little bit of frothy lather on top. So I'm gonna carefully set this down so I don't spill it. But if I'd have filled this first and then tried to pour it when I picked it up, if I'd have put more water in here than that would have held, I would have had a disaster. So, I'm gonna wet my brush. I'm using a synthetic. This is also an Oz shaving brush, and this is the Tornadic brush. Kind of cool. It's got the green on the bottom for the ground. It's got blue up top for the sky. It's got some clear section in here, and then there's a, it's hard to see them, but there's some faint little particles in there that was supposed to be a tornado. This is one that was a giveaway. I think it was it was one that Ian actually donated to our group, the Kansas City Wet Shavers group, and we used that at one of our meetups as a giveaway, and I won it, and I was very happy about that. But I think it was the reason that he gave it to us, or gave this one specifically, not to downplay the donation at all, because he also gave us a soap and an aftershave. But the particles inside are very faint. He made a couple other ones that had really nice, like, black swirls that made it look like a tornado. This one, there's just a couple of things in there. So the tornado really didn't come out in this one, but I'm still happy with the brush. I love it. So I'm not loading. I'm just scraping that excess froth off the top of the puck, and I got it all. And this is what we're going to start lathering with. So he was doing paintbrush strokes. I'm just going to go ahead and lather like I normally would, but right now I need some more water. So we're going to get some of the froth off of here and some of the water by just scooping it up. And we're just gonna be going back and using that froth and picking some of it up to build the lather on our face. Now, when I did this with the honeybee soaps, it's a glycerin base, melt and pour base, whatever you want to call it. It did not have near this much froth. It was just a soupy mess. Some of the soap just dissolved into the water, but it sounded like it made a froth because the noise stopped when I was shaking the tub, but it really didn't. All right, so I think we're kind of good right here. So you can see, I've got a pretty good lather going on. It's a little thin, granted. If I were loading off the puck, I would have gotten a lot more soap on my brush, and I would have been able to build a much thicker lather. However, how much lather do you need? None. I mean, you need some. I shouldn't say none, but you don't need as much as what we in the hobby make you believe that you do need. If I do this, there's still lather on my face right there, and that's enough to shave with. All you need is that little teeny layer in contact with your skin for that blade to go over and smoothly cut off the whiskers. You don't need big, huge, thick lather. We like big, thick lather. We like to make it. It's fun to make it. It's fun to spread that around on our face. It feels good. You know, especially when you make a super good thick lather, the properties of it change. And when it gets thick like that and it gets dense, it just feels better on your face. So that's why we do that. But you don't need it. You don't need anything but a thin layer. And that's why even if you're, I know a lot of people have problems with Williams soap. They can't get a good lather, they can't get a good dense lather, they can't get a lather that doesn't dissipate. I don't have those problems. I always get a good dense lather from it. It always sticks around, doesn't dissipate for me, but it's still slicker than snot. And it gives you a great shave regardless of if it's dissipating or not. You still have that layer on your face and it's still doing its job. So even if you're using something like, you know, again, not to downplay these soaps at all, but Colonel Conk, it's a glycerin, sorry, melt and pour soap base. I mean, Conk makes a couple different types of bases. I'm talking about their glycerin base. Not the greatest soap in the world, but it works and it gets you what you need. That's my only point. You don't need super thick lather like everybody who does these shave videos shows. That's not what you need. You just need a little bit. So I will say one thing right now is that this lather is very wet and very slick, which is good. In fact, because it's a little bit thinner and it's got so much water in it, it might actually be a little bit better of a lather than if you created a very thick lather that looked good but might end up being too dry. It's dry enough to give you the look that you want, but too dry to give you the slickness. You really do want to get a lot of water into your lather. I mean, it depends on the soap, so you kind of gotta test it out, play it by ear, see how much water it will take. You don't want it dripping off your face, but each soap is going to be different. Each soap is going to have its own level of tolerance for water. So, for me, that was a perfectly good pass. Now, also, one thing that I will say is I noticed some little peaks and some things going on the top of my soap that this is just a really nice, clean, fresh scent too. It's almost like that fresh spring clean feeling of fresh laundry dried out on the line. It's very bright, very fresh. Still got some froth going on. So we're gonna take my brush and go back to the froth, grab a little bit more for the second pass. My point was, using this method uses less soap. Obviously, because I'm not building as thick of a lather. If I had, and what I noticed with those peaks on the soap, if I had done this by loading off of my brush directly onto the puck, I know that some of those peaks would have gone down. I would have noticed visibly some of those peaks softening a bit because of the amount of soap that I've taken off of that puck. There is hardly any noticeable difference. I mean, obviously I took soap off, but it wasn't really a noticeable noticeable difference, if I can talk today, that you see when you load directly off the puck. So I think in the long run, this method would be a soap saver. Who am I kidding? I don't need to save soap. I need to get through my soap, but some of you out there might only have a few soaps, and there's nothing wrong with that. And if you want to try to prolong those soaps so they last you longer, so you don't have to buy soap so often, this could be a good technique. And I do think a lot of the time, I know a lot of the time, I know probably most of the time, a lot of us overload our soaps. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think a lot of us recognize that we do that, and I think a lot of us do it on purpose. And one of those reasons is because we want good, big, thick lather, just because it's fun to make. And, but my point is that is not necessary. You can load a puck for 10 seconds and you can get a serviceable lather. Or you can load it for 30 seconds and you can get copious amounts of lather, and you will have so much lather that when you're done with your shave, you still have a ton of it in the brush. That could be considered wasteful. But again, a lot of us have a lot of soaps, and we don't care about being wasteful with our soaps because we're probably never going to use them up anyways. This is shaving really, really well. And I didn't mention the razor at all. This is the Bali, or the Bali. Twist to open, basically a copy of a Gillette Super Speed. Surprisingly, for I think these go for like maybe $10, maybe less. I don't remember. I know I bought it on sale during Maggard's Black Friday sale. And I don't remember exactly how much I paid. I think it was like $5. They make it in 2 finishes. They make it in chrome and this rose gold. This is just a really good razor. I mean, it's not high end by any means, but it's doing its job. Again, I'm having no issues with the soap, this method. I'm getting ample lather doing this. I mean, I would say that I'm probably getting even better lather than somebody who's new and starting out and trying to figure out how to build lather. You know, a lot of times when you're first starting out, you get really thin lather. And I think this is probably on par with what a lot of people do use. So we got mostly water left in here. There's hardly any froth. It looks super white because there's one of those foam seals in the lid, so that's not, you're not seeing lather. It's mostly just water. So really, most of the lather is in the brush. I'm just kind of rehydrating it. But I've still got tons and tons of lather in this brush. It's crazy. And the more I whip this up, the more I incorporate some air into it, and the more I can fluff it up. But we are gonna call that good for my third pass and get on with it. If you've noticed, I got a rash. I was doing some yard work the other day. I was planting some trees on my property. I had like 75 trees to plant. And it was an area that I'm trying to reforest. It was all high grass, weeds, bush. And I mowed it all down. And was kneeling in it and digging holes and putting trees in. And I never saw any, but I got into some poison ivy or something. Got it all over my legs. I got a little bit on my belly. Got it on my arms. But I did create a pretty good itch reliever, pain reliever. And that is my green juice. I basically, anytime I've had like bug bites or poison ivy in the past, one of my go-tos is Osage rub. Really like Osage rub. It's nice and cold. put a whole bunch of it on your skin and just let it evaporate. And the coolness really helps soothe the itch and takes it out of your mind for a little bit. But there's some other products that I also like, and one of those is Superior 70 Mentholado. And this has some other oils in it that Osage doesn't have. It's got menthol, camphor, eucalyptus, pine, needle, and bay oil. So it's got some other oils going on in it that the Osage rub doesn't. Osage rub, I think, is just menthol, oils of sage, and eucalyptol. And that's a vintage bottle. I don't even know if they still, I don't think they still put the sage oil in it. Also, I've got the Thayer's medicated, which has camphor and a whole bunch of other good stuff. So I decided I'm gonna make a super cocktail of all of this stuff, because especially if I've got bites, rashes, this Thayer's medicated is good stuff, and I kind of wanted to just get all of the good stuff all together, so I'm not grabbing this product and then grabbing this product. I just get them all at once. So I mixed the Osage rub, I mixed the Superior 70, I mixed the Thayer's, I mixed in Stevens Alpine, and I mixed in the green wintergreen isopropyl alcohol. So basically just equal parts of all of those, mix them up, and made a super cocktail. Kind of like UA Cowboy, Kyle. He makes his own aftershave mix by mixing Osage rub, witch hazel, and aloe. The aloe is really good for your skin. Oh, I wanted to show you this. This is how much lather I still have in my brush. And it is still nice, thick, good cushion, nice and slick. Smells great. So even with this method, that's how much lather was still in my brush. I could have gotten another 2-3 more passes. Anyways, Kyle created that. I have not actually tried that because I have not mixed aloe in to any of my stuff because I can't get aloe right now. I know Kyle, he lives in Arizona, so he said he's got aloe growing in his backyard, so he just goes and harvests it and uses it that way. But for me, that hits all the bases. I suppose some aloe would be great in it, but all the oils and stuff that are in that are really good. And the main thing is the menthol. Getting that on there and getting that cooling sensation really just takes your mind away from the burn and the itch. So yeah, the only downside of this is if your caps do have this like foam seal, as you're shaking it, the water's going to get under this, so you're going to have to take it out to rinse out your cap. So that's something that's a little bit weird about this technique, but I encourage you to try it out. Try something new, try something different, see if it works for you, see if you like it. May not be for you, but at least give it a shot. I'm Spider, and we'll see you guys on the Shaving Cadre. If you're watching me on YouTube, thanks a lot. Appreciate all the comments, and I want to plug IAMCDB, Chris's channel. He mentioned me in a video a couple days ago, commented on my last video. So thanks a lot. Go check out his channel. He's been doing this for a while, and it's got some good content. And he just did one of these videos a few days ago, I believe, as well too. So go check him out, and we'll see you guys on the forums later.